Great. Uh, Good evening, everyone. Today we have with us Suresh Eriyat. I think I have pronounced it
Eriyat,
right here. Yeah,
Eriyat, Eriyat,
and
Eriyat.
your company is again, it's a
Studio
wonderful name.
Eeksaurus, Eeksaurus,
Eeksaurus.
Eeksaurus. Yeah,
Eeksaurus. Yeah. So
Eeksaurus.
I've
I think
seen
it's
that video
dinosaur.
also. Yeah, you've been explaining about that, and your team members are giving that, pronouncing it in a. I mean, I was looking at that video also. So
Right,
Suresh,
right.
see, yeah, I just wanted to know your experimentations with animation in India, basically, and how, say, it is gelling to the kind of international levels, because you
Yeah.
have won international awards for Tokri, I mean, which has been very celebrated in the animation industry. So, what is there in India for that matter, animation as to grow in a very, very substantial manner?
See, in my, I have been working in the industry for last 24 years. Yeah, 97, I came to Mumbai to start working after my studies at NID. And in the last 24 years, the way I have seen the industry growing or this field of animation growing, it's very encouraging as someone from the inside and from outside. It's very interesting to see the growth of this industry in this field. Initially, it was a very skill oriented field where people actually got to know about the technique of animation and basic skills people were developing. That part is still alive. The storytellers or the directors or the filmmakers in animation were very, very rare. And so there were people who could animate, people who could storyboard, people who could do the post effects and other things, but there were no animation storytellers. And that's where I think we all came in, and kind of opened that possibility where we started. I started telling that I want to direct animation films, and I started calling ourselves animation filmmaker, because I think nomenclature doesn't have anything to do with change. You can, like, today we see places names are changed, and but that doesn't have any particular significance, as much as the whole shift of thinking that was required by people, that which still there are a lot of prejudices that exist in the animation field, where people think animation is a mere technique and not a medium for storytelling. And something that I have been, I've been pushing a lot, is to give that space for people to tell stories using animation, because the immense possibility of the animation world to engage with stories that are not easy or possible to be represented with real people is such a tremendous possibility, is something that people in India were not realizing. And
Yeah, you
today we
started it.
see,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think you started it with Chintamani, which
yeah,
ICIC.
lot of Amaron batteries made it very popular. Amaron battery commercials, when we made Last Long, Really Long, Ting Tong, that set of films we made in stop motion animation, when people actually were taken by surprise to see a new medium on on the mass medium of advertising first time. So we were constantly exploring with mediums, and for me, um, if you see my work reel, like, I have directed and produced over 450 films,
Yeah.
and none of the films are done in a similar treatment. And it is also, it's not to create a catalog or menu card of different items in a restaurant, but it's more like every every story is a different one, and every story needs to look and feel different. I mean, even if the narrator is the same, but the story needs to leave a different sort of feel in the listener or a viewer. So how do I present it? With the immense amount of possibilities in animation, I could explore so many things. Even with live action, I'm not saying there is only one kind of treatment in live action. I mean, I have done quite a few different treatments with real people also, films with real people. But what I was trying to say in the beginning, that from a skill of animation which was known to people, today it is getting a lot of respect and place as a storytelling medium, and animation filmmakers are evolving. A lot of people are becoming animation filmmakers. It's a very big difference between an animator and animation filmmaker. Internationally, an animator also is considered an animation filmmaker, but in India, there are a lot of people who are called animators who cannot make a film. So people who can move elements cannot be animation filmmakers. People who can beautifully animate, figures and elements are brilliant animators. But I don't know whether we can call them animation filmmakers. I may not be a brilliant animator, but I
Yeah.
can make animation films.
Yeah.
So this
Do
is
you
a
think?
new
Yeah.
people that have come, and I think that has made the change in the content space.
And so, do you think that your training in NID have really helped, and afterwards you have done and kind of working with Ram Mohan, the guru, I mean, real practitioner in that sense? Can you just give us some
See,
experience?
I did my internship at Ramohan's place, but
Okay.
I was working on a project for someone else, for an international client. I had just requested the client to allow me to work at Ramohan's place to get a feel of industry.
Okay.
So I haven't really worked with Ramohan. I have worked with in Ramohan studio, but
Okay.
it was a great eye opener for me. At Ramohan Studio, there were hardly anyone who used to make films. Everyone used to be brilliant animator,
Okay.
brilliant, brilliantly skilled people who could do various stages of animation production. And I realized that, I mean, I was not at all skilled like them. And that was the benchmark for getting into animation that time.
Yeah.
If you didn't have that sort of a skill to animate like Walt Disney sort of animation, which Mr. Ramohan Studio used to specialize in and used to be very good with that, very, very good in that field. I mean, if people like us who are coming from NID who were giving too much weightage to stories and ideas and um, different possibilities of mediums, Disney itself was too restricted. So for me, that was a very good sort of a understanding of the discipline that one needs to have when you're making a real film, which we don't make at an ID because we make mostly explore and experiment. It's
Yeah.
not. It may not be a film that can be something that is enjoyable for the public, but that discipline that what I saw at Ramohan's, which is a meticulous way of working and drawing and producing a shot, um, was a great learning for me to when I set up my own studio to go about how to go about a procedure. So that way it was great learning. And Ramohan himself is a genius. He, I mean, his sense of timing, his sense of humor, and he's just extreme scholar, supremely well read, and has almost worldview about everything. So he's not what you would believe. I mean, a lot of art people, people who can't like really converse or articulate, or who may not read so much, get into a lot of fields like animation and art. And but Ramohan was completely unlike that. He was so depth. He had so much depth in his content and substance. So it was amazing to know a person like that who had a completely cheeky humor and he could come up with really amazing characters, and his drawings were really something that people used to preserve because it was very accurate in terms of
Yeah.
expression, what it used to deliver and stuff like that. So that was my industrial training. What I got from NID was it is a global sort of a training where I got to know about global animation scenario, and that really helped me to keep my priorities. Okay, this is the kind of filmmaker I want to be, or this is the kind of films I want to make. These are the stories I want to tell. So those sort of priorities were set in at NID. So that desire to make films that was actually ingrained at NID.
Great.
That I would work for like whatever years it would take me, but I would make my own films. So
Uh,
that sort of a thing.
Yeah. So, can you tell us about Tokri? How that particular, say, short film, for that matter, it was, I mean, really wonderful to watch and enjoy. And I myself have seen several times. So,
Okay.
how was it? How was it? How was it? In a sense, like the inspiration, creation, and other parts, like.
For me, Shajin, my inspiration is mostly from reality around me. I feel there is so much to take from the reality around us. So the character, what we see, uh, the nuances that we experience are all from around. So this was also based on a real experience, real incident. Um, Probably, I mean, I have said this many times that, but this is when I was driving to office rushing for a meeting, and this little girl came kind of tapped on my window, and I was extremely irritated by the traffic signal, which is forever taking time to release us. And I kind of looked at her and shouted at her, and she got taken aback. The next 20-30 minutes that I had to drive to reach my studio, I was feeling extremely guilty. I was feeling that what if that girl didn't was not a regular beggar the way I thought? What if she had some sort of a problem that for that she had to cover herself up, and she was she had come to the road for that only very reason, because she was wearing a uniform, if I remember correctly. So I was like putting many things together, and I felt that it is very easy for one to be so insensitive. It takes you 1 second. And if you are used to being insensitive, you can do it. You will not even realize it, because you can just say, "Hey, brother," you can say like that to people very easily. So I felt that I need to do something to as a tribute to that girl, to make people a little more sensitive to the less privileged. We felt we are more privileged. That's why we thought and we felt we are stronger, so we can behave like that with someone. No,
Yeah.
but it's not true. So I just wanted to kind of make a film to get that message of, I mean, just people to feel that I don't think I can reform people with my film, but even if someone kind of sees when a kid comes and knocks at their window or something, you kind of see that image of that girl in that person. That much also, if it happens, is good enough for me as a purpose of the film. Yeah, and the film took me 8 years to make,
Yeah.
which was something that I was not expecting. I think the girl was really upset with me, so probably that's why it took me so
Yeah.
long to do a film for her. So I could never find her again. I mean, not that I'm sure she's used to such people, but I think I was a little peculiar sort of a victim, or a sort of culprit in that sense, where I felt bad. I felt genuinely bad about talking badly to someone. I mean, I didn't give any abusive words, but just my sheer act of just get off must have been so take much so shocking for her. And then I thought about this story. What if her family was like this? What if I mean they had everything, but it was for a little thing that kind of kept their balance. If the story is woven around that, so that was the genesis, Shahid. There is nothing more to it. I really wanted to make a world class execution where the where
And
world
it has
wonders.
achieved that.
Yeah,
And great, yeah, wonderful. And thank you
yeah,
for giving us such wonderful, in the sense it is touching your heart. And as you
right,
said, your feeling which you had, you have converted that into that animation film, and then we're also feeling it. Thank you.
right,
Great.
right. Thank you,
Okay,
thank you.
so now, yeah, now coming to your new project, it's
Ah,
Kandittundu and seen it, and it's basically your dad's say account of say the ghost saying and how it is
supernatural
been.
cycle.
Yeah, especially when we come to Kerala, and the generation before us always been touched with that kind of experiences which they generally share to their say grandchildren. Always been there in that part.
Uh,
So how was it? How has it been?
so you know, this is it is directed by Aditi. She is also from NID. This is a film that I felt there's a lot of substance in my father's stories. My father is right now 91, but when I recorded it, it was I think he was around 88 or something, or 87 or 88, and he is an amazing storyteller. He has a great knack of talking to anybody and connecting with them. He still is brilliant at it. I mean, we all used to be in awe because if he talks, if he goes to a gathering, he becomes the center of attention because he has so much to talk and so many stories to narrate. And in a very interesting sort of a way, he speaks, and he has a great sense of humor. So I had recorded without his knowledge when he was narrating these stories. I kind of did that interview with him, and it was a video interview on my phone. It was basically like that, and I was just recording when we were on a holiday, when he was at peace and stuff. I was just sneakingly asking him, just about this question about what about this one, what about tendon, what about arugula, and had the he had the most explicit explanation about these creatures that that we only know as a concept, and he could tell us the anatomy of these people, these creatures, these ghosts or spirits, and he could talk to us about how what is their main prerogative, what is their lookout in life, or death or whatever. What is their lookout, and how do you deal with them if you encounter one of them, and what do they look for when they encounter you. So it was like a full 360-degree analysis, or you can say an instruction manual of a ghost. So it was very vivid and very very brilliant and interesting. So after that I wanted to make a film, a documentary sort of a thing on his stories. And initially, I thought I will use his video footage and add some animations and some twists around. And in a couple of years, I tried to work with multiple people in our studio itself, but it never took off. And that's when Aditi came in from an ID, and after she finished, and I narrated the story to her, and she was extremely excited by the possibilities that these stories have.
Yeah.
And she's very young, so maybe she's not heard all these things in Kerala. She's also a Malayali, but she may not know so much, and she's not met my father. She just heard these interviews, and she kind of did a few storyboard sketches and stuff, and she said, why not we make the whole thing in animation? And I said, that's a tremendous amount of effort, but the kind of drawings that she showed with my father, I said, okay, this is like, my
Yeah.
father will be immortalized with this sort of an exercise, because, and then I said, let's go with this style, and kept it black and white because ghost stories, and mostly it is all about what lurks in the dark. So it made sense to go with that sort of a treatment, which is again her design. So that's how it came about. So we have a 12-minute film done, and it has been doing very well internationally in film festivals. It already has got around 12 official selections in film festivals in the first month itself. So I'm sure it is going to like really do well award wise and festival wise. We'll be releasing it very soon for public viewing. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. We are eagerly waiting for that, because after seeing that trailer itself, I mean, like,
Uh,
there is something in it that points to that. Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
great. So we are waiting for that. So
Thank
Suresh,
you. Thank you so much.
yeah, this pandemic situation basically. See, how do you think how is it really affecting the creativity part of, say, in design, in animation, in other parts? What do you think about it? Is it really going
It has.
to create a problem for?
It really has affected both positively and negatively as well. Uh, Let me talk about the positives first. I think people have figured out their comfort spaces. Okay, some of them have, when they are in the comfort of their house, where nobody is worried about anything, uh, no, outside infection or any of those sort of threats are there, and you can peacefully work. After a point, even your parents don't bug you. If your parents are around, or if you're married, then they also know that you're working, and and you can kind of uh, control your time in your own way. And also, it was a great time for us to think, introspect, and some of the really out of box ideas came through this sort of time. And in our case, we have been approached by a lot of new avenues to create films internationally as content. Otherwise, as you know, we work on advertising films a lot, but this is people have recognized our strength as content creator. In fact, we released all these films during the pandemic. Fisherwoman and Tuk Tuk and Tokri. So all these films are released. All the productions that we had been refrigerating for last 4 or 5 years. We released it one after the other, and that also kind of gave us a lot of confidence about what we can do, because we were thinking somewhere we'll find another platform to put it up and whatever, but we felt that our platform is good enough for the films. And that these are all the positives that we felt as artists, individually in our teams. I felt that there were a lot of people were, I don't know whether it was because of pandemic, people were going really out of their way to help the company and the films. I think they all worked almost, except for a few departments like accounts or something, everybody was giving their 200%, which was uh, which was so encouraging as a leader for me to get that sort of a input. And the negatives, yes, people have faced a lot of tragedies, and there were a lot of sometimes for a lot of people it got very depressing also to be alone in a city like Bombay, and being far away, even though they are working from home. So some of them were really affected like that, especially in a city like Bombay, when there is no, if you don't go to work, there is not, like unlike Delhi or any other place, there is no, you can't say there is a big life after work in Bombay.
Yeah.
So it was pretty disturbing for them really to pull themselves through, because people wouldn't be living in the most amazing conditions uh, in Bombay, because everything is office, and office has, or studio has everything, all the facilities. You just about go, and especially people from outside Bombay, uh, you just go to sleep, just crash out. So that's what the places are used. So I felt a lot of people went through mentally very hard time, and for them it was not very easy when some of them are sharing a room with someone else who is always on the call or on Zoom calls, and then they have to sit and animate. It was not easy for them. So it was that way people went through a lot of hardships in that sense. But while I encouraged everyone to go home to their native homes,
Mm.
but some of them had such issues in their houses also. Yes, there's some mixed feelings like that, Shagan. To be really honest, I can't say that it was good or bad. Of course, what we as a company took out of this whole experience is, yeah, now earlier we used to prescribe to everybody to come to the office to work. Now we are a little more much flexible about people working from home, because I think we feel people have grown so much responsible now with this
Absolutely.
experience.
Yeah. Yes, Suresh, what is the new trends in, say, storytelling, animation, and all? You can tell us. I mean, like globally, because we are looking at a much more wider canvas, no? Because it is possible to do work even sitting in India also in global
Yeah.
perspective.
Oh, what's happening now with the uh, access to so many different things uh, globally? Um One is uh, actually reducing the lag of, you know earlier people used to, when the films used to come on DVD, a lot of filmmakers used to be have collect those rare DVDs, and they would actually copy and adapt them into local languages and stuff like that. We have seen only after many many years, when we all got access to such films, we realized that, oh,
Yeah,
this
right.
was this was a copy and stuff like that. Even if you call it an influence also, today that it is so quick that something that is produced is instantly viewed here. I think it kind of makes us and our audience also pretty evolved to see. And I think evolved audience is a blessing for storytelling, for probably people like us. But there may be a lot of people who may find it hard also to cater to an evolved audience, because they may not take films that are so formula driven, so regular in terms of the approach, or like the star driven films. I mean, you can already see that star driven films are not working in India. No? I mean, there are so many flops that have happened with superstars in the Bollywood area, and there are so many non-formula films that are grabbing attention.
Yeah.
So this is a big difference in the audience perception and audience, typecasting. So they are becoming much more choices are available, and we also feel this will also get us to make interesting niche films also. We don't need to always make mass appeal films, and the rise of regional language cinema is a great welcome change. Regional cinema works are acknowledged, because with Netflix coming out with their Spanish or whatever language films series that are becoming success all over the world, language is no more a restriction. Content is driving, story is driving, not language, which is such a great change. If a Malayalam film can become popular worldwide, is become a possibility. And I think with animation, it even crosses borders very easily. Uh, because animation doesn't, you don't really think that, oh, it's like when you see my face, or in that sense, if you see Mohanlal's face, you know that, okay, this has a certain geographical connectivity to that person's, and it cannot kind of become, it cannot cross too much uh, within that. audience. Okay, it may be grabbed well by the Malayali audience, but it may not go so wide and popular with other people, you know. And with animation, you don't have that restriction. So animation kind of transcends you beyond races, cultures, ages, and so those sort of advantages I find is great. And I can, like, for example, film like Kanditundu, I can is getting is seen by a lot of people. Of course, majority is Malayalam speaking people. But I think it will definitely, once the film is released, I would like to see how people are going to receive it. You know, whether non Malayalam speaking people also are going to enjoy it or not with subtitle. Maybe we'll have to put some regional subtitles and see. But I have a feeling that it can like really fly. Storytelling formats can be experimented. There's so much because people are now familiar with so many complex storytelling formats because of the access to content. So that also I feel is a great opener for us. It is a great. It opens up a lot of possibilities and opportunities.
Okay, great. Thank you, Suresh.